696.
Oh.
No way.
Wow. Okay, so coming.
Oh, she's stuck for sure.
Okay, video is recording. And where did your intro song go? I just quick mic check.
The most jiggy. 1 2 1 2. The most jiggy. 1 2 1 2.
Okay,
I know we good, Randy. You can turn the volume up on the phones.
Well, alright. Well, alright. Yeah. This ain't no podcast, it is a broadcast. Yeah. Yo, this the smartest and dumbest you ever heard. Intelligent and ignorant, you heard it first. Sipping on this brown with a brown skin. Cognac and caramel skins with time beard. Who you love, who you hate, well let's talk about it. The hottest topics and best believe we ain't going gothic. Hotter than the tropics, you looking forward, you know we got it. See the bigger picture, no microscopic. We the livest, know you tuned in. Yeah, we know you tuned in, nothing but a G thing. All we missing is juice and gin, tying up the loose ends. We ain't asked for your 2 cents. Special guests every single day and still no new friends. Calm down, youngin', I know you see that we run it. I promise that this ain't nothing compared to what's really coming. Andre, I ain't talking 3,000, I'm talking drumming off the glass when I dunk it. It's geese, just say you love it. This that ignorant issue like, yeah. Getting jiggy on the mic, 1 2 1 2. This that ignorant issue like, you know, sports, social commentary, women in life, yeah. This that ignorant issue like, getting jiggy on the mic, 1 2 1 2. This that ignorant issue like, you know, sports, social commentary, women in life. That's right.
1 2. We good, Randall? All right, 2 of them thumbs. 2 of the thumbs. Dun, dun, dun. What's good, Mr. B?
Not much, Thomas. How you doing?
Man, you know, man, this is an exciting episode for me, man. I got one of my mentors sit with me today, man. A man of guidance, a man of his word, of his family. You know about his business, and man helped change my life and many of my associates' lives. You know, Mr. Birch, man.
What's happening?
Born and raised in the city, right?
Outside of the city, born and raised in Ypsilanti, but family's in the city.
Ipsy.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Texas. Shoot, 1973, born out there.
What?
So 45 young.
And but you was out there when Ipsy was getting nasty too, though. You was kind of.
Ipsy wasn't that bad.
Wasn't that bad?
I didn't start getting bad
Wasn't
until
that
after
bad?
I left.
What?
Yeah.
Ipsy treacherous. You know?
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah.
Or it is there.
Yeah, it's always been a little a location you only go when you got to see the family for a funeral or something like that.
Right. Okay.
You know, Ypsilanti, you don't really just dangle Ipsy.
Yeah,
that.
not
Unless you
anymore.
go in there and mess with some chicks or something like that. You know, it's kind of like a college little scene.
Yeah,
too.
because you got Eastern and then
Yeah.
Them was only about 15 minutes away.
Ain't nowhere away. You
Yeah.
feel me? So, I wanted to ask you something, man. What made you want to get into working in school districts? You know, working with children, getting into that arena. And what was your process leading up to that?
Well, a little background history. At one point in time, I was working at Ford Motor Company, and I ended up taking an early retirement buyout plan. Was looking for work. I was going back to school at the time. At the time, I was married to a teacher. And, you know, I ain't gonna lie, I was jealous of them summers off. I was sweating hard in plant. They had them summers off, taking trips and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, I felt left out. So I said, I got to get on this program. So I
Right.
started taking classes to get my degree. And Then I applied. I actually applied to a part-time job at Thurston High School, and they brought me in for something else. The position that I forgot the position I applied for. I don't know if it was a hall monitor. It was just part-time work, just something to put a little cash in my pocket. And they brought me in Mr. Finn. I remember Mr. Finn and Sally Pansy.
Yeah, Finn was a hallway
Right.
beast. He was treacherous out in these streets, man. Shout out to Jim Finn.
Yes, sir. And they brought me in an interview, and then they put me in the position of the SRC director, whatever. I always call it a dean of students type gig.
SRC, man, I think that was one of the most like prejudice shits you could have ever made for a kid, period. I don't care what it was.
Yeah.
Student Responsibility Center. Like, what did that shit sound like a juvenile center type shit. Like,
it basically was.
Yeah, that just was not healthy. That wasn't nothing no kid needed to be in.
It
make
was,
them, because it was an excuse for teachers to send kids there.
Right.
Mainly kids of color. We're going to keep it funky.
And to be honest with you, the original purpose of why it was made, I mean, it was a legit type of situation, meaning that it was the vision they had for it was a good vision, but then the teachers abused it, and then they weren't held accountable for abusing it, if that makes sense. So, I mean, it was a good process. It shouldn't have been used as much as it was, but it was a good process. But at the end of the day, I'm glad they used it because we were able to meet, connect, do what we had to do with the people that needed to. Yeah. So it was a blessing and a blessing.
You know, man, those years, as we reflect back on them, and you know, you helped change lives, man. You helped change a lot of young men eventually into becoming men and having some kind of camaraderie, or sense of self, sense of purpose. Who was your mentors coming up? You know, who influenced you in your life to make you say, man, you know, one of these days when I do mature, when I do get somewhat on that right path, one of these days I can motivate and inspire some people in these streets or school or whoever I come across.
Well, to be honest with you, you know, I can always say my uncles, my father. Even though I'm cool with my dad, we kind of estranged. You know, we're estranged, but it's still love there. My uncle, I got mad love for my uncle, my Uncle Mickey. But at the end of the day, you know, when you do stuff like that, and to be honest, is you give people what you didn't have. If that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
And you project on the people what you were missing. You know, so if you're missing that guidance, that love that you wish you had, you project that on people that you can. You know, you project out what you wish you had, in a sense.
Then too, it's like what was hurting me, which I speak on frequently, is so many, you know, guys around your decade, your age demographic, you know, want to be like the young boys, man. You know, just have no kind of identity, don't have no kind of no real guidance, no real encouraging words, no real examples.
Okay.
And these is who these kids just looking up to.
Correct.
You know, because they got the little flash, or they got a couple little, you know what I mean? There's no longevity in your lifestyle, you know. So I think that's where a lot of mentorship and mentorship programs need to step in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you have the educated. It doesn't have to be in a degree per se.
Right.
But educated to where it can be useful, the advice that you give. It can be useful, the lectures you may, you know, speak on or speak of. Right. You can connect and build these young men into the community, plunge them into a job in the community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And help them identify themselves with a variety of different crafts or different jobs, so they may land somewhere and find their niche. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, unfortunately that has been lost, because it was once before, you know, you had people that would take internships or people that were carpenters or electricians that would take on a mentor program or something like that, and that art has been lost completely.
Yeah, not to include with them taking a lot of those skill programs out of public schools,
Correct.
especially inner city schools.
Correct.
But when you go out to Southfield, you go Ray Loke, Bloomfield, you go to all these other districts, Farmington Hills.
Right.
They have those programs still,
Yep.
or even at Thurston to a degree where at a certain year point, you can do a certain amount of credits in school, and then you go do mechanic work, auto repair stuff, whatever you're gonna do, vocational.
Right.
You rarely hear about vocational programs now,
Right. And
especially in inner cities.
yeah, you need more schools like Cass Tech, more schools like Renaissance that have those vocational,
Options.
Options, right. Nursing programs, engineering, programs. They gear you for the
You're exposed to it.
Yeah, you're
You know what I
exposed to
mean?
it.
Because I always say, I use this analogy, and this is kind of funny, but this was when I was really into health, right?
Mhm.
Really into like my vegetarian vegan bag.
Okay.
And the guy I was watching, he had a son, and
Okay.
he was trying to really adjust him to that lifestyle.
Mhm.
So he said, instead of giving him the option of say like pizza and a vegan meal or vegetarian meal,
Right.
or for breakfast, you got an option of maybe Pop-Tarts or maybe your fruits or smoothie or something. You give them an option of you want a strawberry banana smoothie or
Right.
you want a mango pineapple smoothie. You
Exactly.
give them
Yeah.
you give them options, but they're both good for you wherever you go,
Right.
whatever you choose to do.
You're giving them direction to
Yeah.
choose something that's correct.
Yeah, you feel what I'm
Basically,
saying?
right,
I think that's very imperative because when a kid is exposed to sports, then you're
Right.
exposed to different band programs. Then
Mhm.
you're exposed to maybe you say the vocational. You might
Right.
JROTC.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's so much you can give a kid to where they can find themselves in something
Right. Right.
that interests them. Even when you go to college, you still find the things that interest you, no matter if it's
Correct.
arts or, psychology, or you want to do engineering. You don't know what, you know what I mean? You still find it. That's nothing but an experience to find yourself and find your way.
Correct. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I always tell people, don't ever define or label yourself by what's on a piece of paper.
Yeah, because you can't.
You're not an engineer. You're not an HR clerk, or you're not
Right.
a, fast food manager. You're something better than that. You mean something more than just a label that they put on you because you make this amount of money, or
Right.
you do this or you do that. It's always something greater, always something bigger, in whatever you choose to indulge in.
And my motto is always follow your heart, follow your dreams. You do something you love, everybody else will love. They'll see the love that you put into it. They'll love you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta find something that fits you. Like we were talking earlier, you gotta find something. You gotta find your identity in the world. If not, you'll be working somebody else's dream.
Yeah.
Or, like even now, we always make jokes at my job that we're making another man rich because this is his dream. He followed through. He took the time to look into his.
If we're gonna keep it a buck, a lot of this shit be passed down to people. A lot of this stuff, as far as big companies or
Right.
stuff like that, we already know if you got to be a part of a certain lineage,
Yep.
you getting that shit passed down to you. 9
Yes,
times
it
out of 10, it was stolen. But we're not even gonna get into them details.
we're not.
You
We
know what I
won't get
mean?
into
But we're
that.
gonna get back to the SOAR program.
Right.
Successful, outstanding, and remarkable men. That
Right.
mantra was kind of like engraved in us as kids.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so many young dudes wanted to be a part of it because they seen the positive effects of that.
Yes, it is.
Like, man, they shirt and tie, shirts tucked in, you got to behave a certain. It was a standard,
Right.
but it was respected.
Right. Well respected.
You know what I'm saying? And you had certain quote unquote popular kids, or you had certain guys to come in and make sure that, this is cool to do.
Right. Right.
Sometimes you need that.
Yep.
That's very necessary when it comes to opening the door for culture,
Right.
opening the door for something to grow. You kind of need that face, or you need
Right.
that person. Or brands do it all the time.
Right.
So why not start from the grassroots of it all? The most popular pastors
Right.
starting the grassroots organizations.
Correct.
Same with mentoring. You need to get kids who are, mostly engaged with other kids all the time, or the
Exactly.
most revered. Hey man, you want to try this out?
And that's what we looked at when we first started it. That group is finding the kids that stood out,
Yeah.
that other kids respected. You know, and then because at first they just wanted it to be the kids that weren't most likely to graduate. And I'm like,
that's
nah.
not a good depiction.
And I killed that.
Right.
Because I'm like, no, that's not what I want it to be. Because like I said, everybody can learn something from somebody, whether you're on the wrong side or on the right side. And that's what when we went out and picked the kids, we picked the most popular kids, meaning we picked kids that were getting straight A's. We picked kids that were failing, picked kids that were not graduating, picked kids that were always getting suspended.
Just a variety.
Picked the athletes, picked the well-respected, the popular kids, the funny kids. We made sure we had a variety of everything. And then at every grade level, we made sure that we picked a person from every grade level to represent the group. And I mean, you were part of it, so you saw what it became.
Yeah. What it became was it was a necessary vulnerable point.
Yes.
Because you know so many people go through things in life, man. Kids go through a lot, especially at the adolescent stage of being a teenager.
Right.
Because now you're cognizant of your family issues that they can't sweep under the rug no more.
Right.
You're going through your own phase where you're rebellious, or you want to try new things and jump off the ledge. You know, at the same time, you have the peer pressure because you're still finding your way and you vulnerable.
And
you're susceptible to so much.
And
you know?
we knew about that. You know, we knew we had kids with social problems, with problems at home. Had kids that were in gangs. Had kids that were doing drugs. I mean, they were all in the group.
Yeah.
But I think the thing was, when we came together, was a unity thing. And everybody was able to let their guard down.
Yeah.
And just be one, which was the group, you know.
Yeah.
Which was all love anyway. You know I made it was nothing but love in that room. I made sure that it was no negative energy, no negative influence or anything. We used to call it the safe room. Everything that was in that room was safe.
Pretty much. And then too, it was whenever you have something like that, any program, you have to have a base where everybody can identify.
Right.
And I think that's where any campaign or anything that you do, you have to have people identify with a common issue. And what young black men have a common issue with is masculinity.
Right.
So when you're around your boys all day, you're around chicks all day, you're always trying to have a bravado up, a guard up. You know, the best or the worst jokes.
Right.
You know, I got to have the freshest this. I got to do that. You know, it's so much pressure on you.
Right.
So then when you're in a room of young men or your own peers, it's like, these is really issues that we're dealing with. I'm going through this. I'm going through that.
Right.
The common ground is vulnerability.
Right.
They don't even know. As kids, you don't even know your common ground is vulnerability.
Right. And to be honest, I made myself vulnerable as well while I was standing up in front of the room. I let my guard down just so you guys can see that.
So you can do that.
Right.
They don't even, as kids, you don't even realize the psychological effects people have on you until you look up and you're like, wow, that was like one of the best influences.
Right.
You know, think before you speak. Give respect to give respect. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it was exemplified.
Right.
Oftentimes, kids get lost in the guidance dynamic because it's told to them.
Right.
It's repeated to them at school, at home, at church, social events. But then when you get outside of that, those same people aren't exemplifying, you need to follow these rules, follow these guidelines.
Right.
You know, that's why I think on a personal note, not to veer off the conversation, I think that's why religion isn't as successful as it's intended to be because it's not exemplified through the people that we look up to or who indoctrinated us into these things. You know, Monday through Saturday, we like, well, we seeing the worst of you, you know. It's looking crazy at home.
And then Sunday you repent.
And then Sunday it's like a holy grail of change, or you change. You're not changing nothing. You're not changing nothing at all.
And in a couple hours after you get out of church, you're right back to the way you were.
You feel me? You're back at your bottle. You're back at your vices. You're back at your temptations. You're back at what needs to be fixed in the first place.
Right.
You know, which is your mentality.
Right. You're not working on yourself.
Which is why the program, I feel like, was so successful because, you targeted the mentality.
Right.
Because once you target the mental, everything starts in your mind, from your behaviors on down.
Right.
So once I see, if I come in, I can't come to the meeting if my shirt not tucked in, I don't have a tie.
You're right.
The standard there, you know what I mean? And you don't never want to be the one left out.
Right.
Especially as a kid.
And I was gonna call you out. I
You
would
know
call
what
you
I mean?
out outside of the meeting. So
And the jokes was going to roll. So
right.
it created a disciplined environment.
Right. It did.
And everybody else made you accountable, your teachers.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think fear has two sides. One that can hinder you and one that causes the most breakthroughs.
Right. But I to be honest with you, I don't want to call it fear of being. I think it was more of just being disappointed and letting the organization down of it. You know what I mean? It wasn't fear because you knew this was a respected group that, we put you through hell to get in there. Most people had to, they had to do that paper, had to read that paper in front of you. I say the original members didn't have to do that because we handpicked everybody, but then we had that selection process. Me, Miss Nelson, and Miss Jackson, we would go through the students and select, or we have kids. Because at a point, we had kids approaching us like crazy, like, we want to get in, we want to get in, we want to be a part of it. Because once again, we kept everything secret hush because it was a safe place. They knew what it was. They knew it was a respected group, but that was it. No one knew what we talked about. No one knew what we did. They just knew the shirt and ties. Every Thursday? Was it every Thursday?
Yeah, definitely every Thursday.
Yeah, every Thursday at flex time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Then, too, man, what it created was you boost some self-esteem, confidence.
Right.
You build some kind of security because I have something that I'm obligated to.
Yes.
And I think as young adults, we when we leave school, for a lot of kids, I encourage people to get into different programs to keep you active.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you graduate school, you're in that mix like, wow, am I an adult yet? Am I responsible for all my stuff?
Right.
Some don't have a choice, but most do. I'm speaking to the majority.
Mm-hmm.
Find things that get you engaged, that keep you, like you say, to know yourself, to learn yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get out of school and get into things that school did, like bore you to death.
Right.
Get you something that keep you occupied, make you a couple dollars. But travel, go see different things.
Right.
Go,
get
like you say,
outside your box.
Get outside your box.
Right.
Internships.
Right.
Don't be afraid to catch the bus nowhere. Don't be afraid to go to the next level by going through the grit and the grind. You don't have a car, they got Uber and Lyft now, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's no excuse to go and be what you want to be and be who you want to truly become.
And we talked about that too. We always used to talk about the box theory. Don't trap yourself in that box.
Yeah.
Expand yourself. Expand your mentality. Expand what you see in life. And that's why, like, we go back to the different aspects of the people. We had people that were getting straight A's, honor roll students. We had people that were gang members. People that would never normally socialize, because you would have somebody dealing with this and dealing with that.
Right.
But then once we got in that room, we realized, like you said, we were all on the same page.
Yeah.
And you opened yourself to a different light. The gang member was able to see that the person getting straight A's was actually going through the same thing he was, that he just chose that path, and he just chose a different path. Just open up your world, open up your mind to see different things.
Be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it all comes back to. It all
Right.
comes back to not being afraid to open yourself up to things.
Right.
Because when you do that, and I really spoke on the fear thing because most people can relate. Just that term relates to that feeling where it's like, I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't, you know what I mean? You're kind of scared too. I don't want to. Yeah. And I think schools, period, needs to have a program like that in every school. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Because if you do, I think it creates a healthy culture.
Right.
You know what I mean? It brings identity to kids who's looking for one.
Correct.
Because you're a part of something. You know what I mean? It's the reason why mentoring programs work, I feel like, is because maybe I'm not an athlete.
Right.
Maybe I'm not a book geek like that.
Right.
Maybe I'm not the norm as far as groups go in social activities.
I mean, you had your groups. You had the athlete. You had the book person, the drama club, the band, and that was it.
Yeah. You know what I
So-
mean? But with this kind of program, maybe I can motivate and inspire people through my thoughts,
Right.
through my words,
Mm-hmm.
through my energy. You know what I'm saying? It creates other avenues kids need to experience.
Correct. Correct.
You know what I'm saying? On the psychological and emotional level.
Correct.
Everything else you're doing physically.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you're doing something that you can just regurgitate within books.
Yep.
But with programs like mentorship, you're creating in spaces and environments where kids can actually affect change outside of school.
Correct.
You know, as well as in school, but
Yeah,
definitely
correct.
outside
Yeah,
of it.
especially social. You know,
Yeah.
socially. You know, being an active member in your community. Listen, we'll talk about Miles. Remember
Yeah,
Miles X Dope now.
yeah.
What he calls
Pretty
himself.
man. I love what he's doing. This Little
Man.
West movement. What he's doing with the
Tell me
schools.
about it, man.
touring and
It's
stuff.
just because I remember him talking to me about that when he was starting it up, and it's blown up. I mean, that was just the seed that the group planted,
Mm-hmm.
and that he's going in and taking it to a different level.
Yeah, not
and
only
just
taking
giving
it to a
back.
different level, man. You're young and you have
Right.
that ambition,
He has that
and he
ambition,
didn't stop.
and he didn't. Right.
You know, and especially with things in the lane that he's doing, as far as entertainment,
Right.
it's kind of like, man, you hosting, or you doing this. You know, people look down on
Right.
what you're passionate about. He
Right.
having fun with that.
He's having fun.
He love that. You
doing
know,
what you love, and everybody else will love it.
you feel me? So
you
you
know.
can't really pay attention to who hates it or
Right.
oh, this is just a fad or a phase. That's to you, it is.
Right.
I love this. I enjoy this. I love getting people engaged. I love to let people dance and party
Right.
and stuff like that. And he made not only probably like a hobby of it at first, he made a little, decent career of it. So
Correct.
far, so good.
So far, so good. Even
Love that, man.
I'm gonna even talk about you. You love to speak in the group. You were always the most vocal, one of the most vocal members of my group. And here you are doing a podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, you took what you did in that group, and now we're here.
yeah.
So you grew upon that.
You know what, man? I think I always say, this is why I think God is real, because it's something innate in you that's really meant for you, a purpose for
Right.
you, destined for you.
Correct.
I don't care if it's music, anything. When you really can't sleep at night because you got to do this one thing,
Hmm.
that's what's meant for you to do.
Correct. That's
You
your
know, so for
passion.
years it was like, once I got out of my relationship dynamic, it was like, man, okay, let me.
Mhm.
Whose time is now? Who was?
Right.
Because not only you single, but you gotta love you now
Right.
as an individual.
As an individual.
You gotta love what you do for you now. Every little step now is really on you.
Right.
Nobody is a crutch. It's
Nope.
no excuse, or it's nothing to distract you, quote unquote.
Right.
This is about you.
Yep.
So you gotta fall hard, man. You really gotta like shed some tears. You really
Right.
gotta go through the most painful experiences to get through what I think God has ordained for you.
Right. And my thing is, if you look at this, like we were just talking about earlier before the
Yeah.
show started, that sometimes we block our blessings because we hold on to stuff that we
Yeah.
shouldn't be holding on to. And once you finally are able to release that negative part of it,
Mm-hmm.
the blessings roll in. You find your purpose. You find out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You find out what you enjoy. You find out what you love. You find out what you like. And you're able to love yourself more, take care of
Yeah.
yourself more, and move forward and find your purpose in life.
Yeah.
And then the blessings will keep coming. Then that we'll talk about a significant other. That significant other that will love that same thing, that same passion that you do,
Yeah.
will come and even propel you.
That's why
forward
it's important
more.
to know who you are, man, because once you get past a certain point in your life where you really date serious, take somebody serious,
Mhm.
you want a sense of who you are, man. You
Right.
know, especially at the age bracket, I'm at 25 and up. You may be finding yourself a little bit
Right.
knowing who you are, or having another phase of that. Like, man, I just got married.
Yeah, you
You know?
you're gonna go through phases in your life. Like I told you, we
That's
joke
so
around
dope,
at my
though.
job. I'm in the fourth quarter, of relationships. I'm single, bachelor, doing my thing. But like I said, I know what I want. I know what I need in my life. And if you can't bring that to me, I'm not even gonna waste my time. Because I'm in the fourth quarter. I don't have no more time to play with you. I don't know, like 25. You're gonna learn, you're gonna fall, you're gonna pick yourself back up, but eventually you're gonna get there. Me, same thing a little bit, but a little bit more. Not that much time on the clock.
Yeah. I mean, Shit, tomorrow not promise, so we
No,
really
tomorrow,
don't have no time.
Yeah, you're right. Tomorrow's not
To,
promised. but-
to, I get what you I
Yeah.
get what you mean though, but man, it's very important to have vibrant people around you, man.
Exactly.
And sometimes it be people. This is what I learned too with life. Sometimes it doesn't even be people; it be their circumstances that
Yes.
make them be who they are.
right.
And I even witnessed this for myself. Once you take people out of certain environments
Mm-hmm.
and out of certain situations, you isolate them to who they are.
Right.
Totally different person.
Yes.
The best version of themselves.
Right.
You got to strip people down to everything. Like
Right.
you say, the most vulnerable.
Right.
When you strip down, when you don't have nothing to hide, you don't have nothing you're scared of, you
Right.
laying it all on the line, all on the table.
Right.
That's when it's up to you to say, man, am I gonna take that leap of faith, or am I gonna pack everything up, iron everything out, put that same uniform back on,
Right.
and convert back to the old me or the me who doesn't want to grow?
I can use that example. We talked about my marriage. My marriage, like I said, almost divorced 4 years, I think. I don't know.
Right.
Not counting. But I didn't know who the hell I was in that marriage. Didn't know who I was.
Mm.
But as soon as I got the courage to leave, of course, first couple of months, rough on me. But then I started realizing, hey, getting back to the stuff that I love to do, getting back to who I was. I mean, granted, I was a husband, I was a father, I'm still a father, but now I'm a better me. I'm a better me for for another person.
Right.
But yeah, once you isolate yourself and take yourself out of a situation that is negative for you, and sometimes we don't even know it's negative for us until we actually take a look back.
Yeah.
Because even after my divorce, I had a friend I would hang with all the time, and then I started picking up those habits that this person was doing. I had to take a step back, and I'm like, hold up, it's not me either. Because we'll put it this way: when you hang with friends or when you're in a relationship, you tend to start to laugh like them. You tend to use the same catchphrases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tendencies, habits, everything.
Yeah, I mean, you absorb each other's energy, so you tend to repeat. But like you said, once you remove yourself from that energy, what we're talking about, good or bad, you can see who you are.
Not only that, man, I think after a while, relationships expose you.
Yeah.
Because a person is literally right there to watch every little step you make, every move you make,
Right.
every progression or non-progression that you're making. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to say to yourself, if I'm going to date or if I'm going to do anything, do I take myself serious, man?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
am I here just playing? And if you are, let somebody know that.
Yeah, you
You
got
feel
to.
me? But knowing yourself and knowing who you are as a man, first and foremost, definitely plays into a part in leading other men.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So how was that? How was the phase for you going through what you were going through, but knowing that I had a group of men, young men, depending on me emotionally and for advice, for maybe financially that we didn't know of, anything.
To be real with you, that was my safe place too. You know what I mean? That was a place for me to be vulnerable. That was a place for me to let go. Because at that time I was going through it. It was times I was in Miss Nelson's office just ready to I was gone. Tears about to fall out my eyes, everything, because I was gone because of the stress of the marriage. But that was a safe place for me. That was a safe haven. It was truly, when I was projecting love, it was truly love given out. And I always told you, you guys are helping me as well as I'm helping you, because I was going through that situation at that time. But to me, it was easy. It was natural. It's what I love to do. I love to give.
Right.
I'm a giver. I just give. But at that time, like I said, it was because I think I even mentioned it sometimes in a meeting that I was struggling at home. You know, I even mentioned that time she wanted me to stop doing what I was doing because I wasn't going any further. And I think I even told you guys. I mean, I shared everything with you guys.
Of course.
At that stage. So
Yeah.
But at the same sense, I couldn't stop because I loved it. If I can go back to do it today,
Yeah,
I would.
I would too. You know what? And I think that's why it's so important for people to have a sense of camaraderie and independence, knowing that you can do it not necessarily on your own, but as an entity, you can do it on your own.
Right.
Because if a program like that has its effects and it's doing well, you have to go transition with a job, marriage, home life, lifestyle, even a job to a degree, right?
Yep.
You're the core of that program. Those two women were the core of that program. That left. Everything left.
Yeah, as soon as I left, everything left.
You know what I mean? And that especially with black people,
right.
especially black young men.
Right.
We already experienced that on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And
you know what I'm saying?
And I think that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life.
Yeah.
Is leave. Because I had to leave because at that time I was trying to save my marriage and save the kids, save the family.
And you seen the effects of that within the kids. Like, it was like, dang, Mr. Big gone. You know, I think Ms. Jackson left first at that time. And then Miss Nelson.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, well, no, they left after I left.
Yeah.
I believe, but I told.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think one of the, after you.
Right, they left.
Miss Jackson, then Ms.
I mean, they stayed in the district, but they left the school, and that was the district's issue. But I think the hardest part, that my last day at that school, I had that line outside my door, and all the kids, just saying bye to me.
Yeah.
And I felt at that point in time I made the worst mistake of my life, is because I made a difference here, and I was loved, and I felt that love. But that was one of the hardest things I had to do.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, like I say, at that point in time, that was the saddest time of my life and the most happiest time of my life. Because, man, I was alive with you guys. I felt alive. I felt that was my purpose. That was my gift. And I still do to this day. But it's just sometimes, like Miles X Dope, now he's taking it and gone with it a little further. But, yeah, that was a hard time. Like, remember our first picnic?
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
I got that picture framed on my wall at home.
Yeah.
That's one of the pictures I look at first. One of the first pictures I look at when I leave the room.
Yeah, and that impact, we still tight to this day with a lot of us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, man, impacts like that, it's so sporadic because you never know. You know, sometimes we go into an office space or a job or a program and we think, I was just here for the time or get you a couple dollars, but you just never know, man, who lives you inspire, you change, and you motivate, and you put into perspective in their minds that it can be better. It can be a better tomorrow.
Yeah, you never know who's watching and listening to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always try to be optimistic when I talk to people. Even at my job, I got a young man that I talk to at my job every now and then. I got to keep him focused. You know, he gets mad at the world. I'm like, man, calm down. You know, you gotta play the game a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot of life to live out here.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of life, man. So much to see, man. So much to do.
Yeah, you gotta expand your horizon. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. After my divorce, I've been on so many trips. I've gotten on planes by myself and just went somewhere for a weekend. I had a couple of people that went with me sometimes, but I would just go. I'm planning a new one now, a new adventure. You know, it's just, you got to enjoy life. Like you say, life is short. And everybody thinks life is good when you're wealthy. But we've talked about this before. Wealth is not always monetary.
Yeah.
You know, wealth is what you put out, the energy you put out, the person that you are. So, like I said, I'm always say I'm a wealthy man because I have kids that love me. I have people that love me. I'm healthy.
Yeah, and not only that, man, you created energy. You put out an energy that you innately got back.
Right. Yeah.
10 times, 100 times.
Right. Yeah.
That's important, man. Putting out what you want to exist.
Right.
Sometimes, man, we in environments that entrap us in mentalities.
Yes.
Energies.
Right.
Energy that you just can't leave until you leave it.
Right.
Like you see, your marriage or relationship or school or job, anything, business.
Right.
Sometimes you got to leave in order to know what it's like to breathe, man, to feel again, to know again, to experience again. What a clear conscience, with a clear conscience, energy. I speak on that a lot. Good energy, man, positive energy.
Right.
Energy of love, energy of just being who you are. You feel what I'm saying? Because when you're comfortable in your own skin, and you walk like it, you talk like it. It's a glow about you.
Yes, it
A
is.
smile about you.
Yes, it
It's
is.
in your handshake.
Yep.
It's in your hugs. You know, it's in
Right.
it's in your talks with people. It's genuine.
Right.
You feel what I mean? Like you can't. People never forget that,
Right.
and people always confide in me and talk to me. So I always took into account as a kid to now.
Uh-huh.
When people tell you things or confide in you with things, or you see that your words influence people or impact people
Mm-hmm.
when they talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
you have a duty and responsibility to that.
Mm.
To keep things sacred, to keep things together, to keep things right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or if somebody want to talk to you or need that shoulder, I don't care what time in the morning it is or day, or
Right.
you just never know.
Yeah.
So I always apply that to everything that I do, from doing a podcast,
Right.
being persistent, being consistent, and always being mindful of other people.
And you have to be.
You know?
I think that's as a society, that's what's wrong with us now, is that we're not mindful of other
Yeah.
people. Other people, just because I may
There's
be
no empathy at all.
No, none at all. Just because I may be smiling, happy, and dancing doesn't mean I'm smiling, happy, and dancing in the inside. I use Robin Williams, the great actor that ended up committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his whole life, his whole career, he spent making people laugh. You know, he gave people joy. But that man had so much, he didn't have joy inside to where he had to take his life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't know what most people are going through. And we always say this at work. I may say good morning to you, you may be grumpy about it. You know, my thing is, you never know what anybody else is going through, and you have to take into account that person may just be having a bad day. So I can't take offense to you not saying good morning back to me.
Yeah.
Just next time I see you, I'm going to make sure you see me again, and I'm going to say good morning again to you till you get used to me telling you good morning, until you forget that I don't. In case I don't tell you good morning, then you're going to say it to me first.
Mm-hmm.
Like my kids, every morning I text them. Every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time I start work. I love you. Have a great day. Boom, boom, boom. Text me later, whatever. The moment I don't text them, and there's been times I forgot because I had to get right into work, get into it, or whatever, and be like, text me, are you all right? You know, because they're so used to me
Mm-hmm.
projecting that out that they're used to getting it.
Creating positive habits.
Yeah, creating positive habits.
And
So
positive patterns.
even like in the sword meeting, what was the ritual at the end of the meeting? You remember?
No, I don't remember.
You don't?
I actually don't remember.
When you left the room, what was required? Who was at the door at the end of the meeting?
Who was at the door at the end of the meeting?
I can't believe you forgot.
I definitely forgot. As
You
much
couldn't
as I remember, I
leave
definitely
the room
forgot.
without giving me a hug. You don't remember that?
Wow.
You remember that?
I don't remember that. That's the only part I don't remember.
All right, everybody had to line up and give me a hug, and I would write passes if you were late.
Now I remember that part. Yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely needed the passes. But yeah,
Well,
I
yeah.
definitely forgot that part.
You had to give me a handshake and some love before you left.
Wow.
That was it. And I would tell you, each and every one of you, that I loved you. Have a great day. And you left the room.
That was off GP though, you know.
Yeah,
as
but
far
that
as
was just, that's who I was, though. I just wanted to make sure that you felt that you were loved before
that.
you
And
left
you
that
know
room.
what? When you bring that up, that kind of a gesture, stay with kids, man.
Yeah.
How many people don't get a hug from their dad or even have
Right.
their dad, or
And we
get a
talked
hug,
about
get
that.
or get love, period, through
Right.
that day or through, their daily lives. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that's wow. I definitely forgot that part
Yeah,
of
we
it.
talked
But
about
that's
that.
definitely, man, something that changed people's lives, man.
Right. And
Kids or adults. I think it changed adults too, because you've seen kids change once they get some kind of structure,
right.
some kind of positive influence in their life. And you've seen teachers teach
Yes.
different, treat the kids different,
Right.
because they were different.
Right.
You know what I mean? You seen the maturity in them, and you put the man principles in.
Right. And you guys were
Hold true
able,
to your word and who you are as a person, and do your work.
and you guys were able to
Put work in.
create more positive relationships with your teachers because of that program. And they were able to create it with you too, because they know I would get on their asses as well about it, or Miss Nelson or Miss Jackson would, but we held everybody accountable. But my job was to make it safe for you, protect you, and just give you love.
Yeah.
And that's because when we started, it was never the first couple of meetings we winged it. And
Yeah,
most of the meetings we would wing it because we would go in there and the topic would change. I remember even
It was almost seemed like every time.
Yeah, it would change. Sometimes we
Yeah.
would go in there with a specific topic to talk about, and it would change
Almost immediately.
immediately because something would happen. Somebody would bring up something. No, I didn't even remember the Trayvon Martin thing when Miss Nelson had read the article about that,
Right.
and I remember that discussion we had about that in there.
Yeah. Man,
So I mean, it was a lot of
that
great
was,
moments.
you know, as I look back, those are years of that.
Yeah.
What's that? That started our sophomore year. Well, my sophomore year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So about 2010.
Yeah.
No, it was before. It was definitely like 2009-ish.
It was 2009, 2010.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
Because I started the first year I was there.
yeah. Man, that was a good time, man. Good memories. Good people.
Mm-hmm.
Great energy. Great times, man.
Yeah.
Mentorship is important. Mental health is important. Making an impact on someone's life is very important. And knowing the importance of who you are in order to make that change is definitely urgent. So I urge a lot of you, like I speak on all the time, man, please love who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Love your situation. Love your circumstance. And if you don't, everybody go through, you might be sad for a week or a couple days or whatever, you know. What's imperative is being conscious of your habits and being conscious of your anxieties and your sadness. And
Correct.
so you can go and do, let me go write today. Let me go paint today.
Right.
Let me take a walk or jog. Excuse me.
And the most important thing I just want to put in this, don't be afraid to get help. Don't be afraid to talk to
That's what I'm
anybody.
getting to. Yeah.
Don't
It's
be afraid to
okay.
be vulnerable. Like, hey, I'm depressed.
Because sometimes that other stuff don't work, man.
Right, because even going through my divorce, I saw a counselor for a year because I was depressed about it. But, you know, It is what it is.
You know, I urge everybody, please love you, love others, encourage other people, and encourage yourself. Whatever you give other people, make sure you give to you in the most positive way you can.
Right.
You know, make an impact and make a difference, even if it's a good morning. So this is the Ignorant Intelligent Podcast. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Mr. Birch,
My man.
mentor, great father, great person. Allison, we know how that traffic can be, baby. We know how the traffic can be.
Construction.
They always pick the worst times, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.